Welcome back to our channel where we provide updates and undisclosed narratives on the royal family. We provide you with the exciting news: Prince Harry rushes to set a secret meeting in the UK after King Charles's shocking statement. Recent news sources say that Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, has quickly traveled to the UK, which has sparked a lot of talk about why he went and what may happen as a result. People who know what's going on say that this isn't a normal family conversation or a private social event. Instead, it looks to be about important and perhaps irreversible decisions on the Duke and his family's royal titles and official status. This trip is very important because it is happening at a time when the British monarchy is going through a lot of change and uncertainty. King Charles III is getting treatment for a health problem that was made public. The Prince of Wales. The monarch's oldest son, Prince William, is said to have taken on a more important and active role in steering the institution's near future, while the king temporarily cuts down on his public duties. The future that is expected might have big effects for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Sources close to the situation say that the main issue is a dispute between the sovereign and the heir apparent on how the monarchy should be set up and what its members should do. People who know King Charles and have seen him over the years, particularly in the early years of his reign, have said that he is someone who values family unity and wants his children to get along. Prince William, on the other hand, is said to favor a managerial, results-oriented approach to royal government that puts the long-term health of the crown's institutions above familial ties. When Harry gets to London, he is reportedly getting ready to talk to both his father and, more importantly, his brother. His brother seems determined to carry out a vision of a more streamlined and disciplined monarchy, and doesn't seem to have much patience for members who are thought to hurt the institution's reputation. A change in power. How situations have changed the way we make decisions. The public announcement earlier this year about King Charles III's health has been seen as a turning point for the royal family, marking the start of what some analysts, both inside and outside the palace, have called a pre-succession period. The king continues to sign papers, meet with select audiences, and carry out limited state duties, but he has had to step back from all of his ceremonial and public duties, which has allowed the Prince of Wales's role to naturally grow. This change is more than just an issue of scheduling or delegating. It also shows a fundamental shift in the way the institution looks to be running during this delicate time. King Charles's behavior and public statements have demonstrated that he wants his family to be together. Biographical sources and those who knew him portray the king as profoundly devoted to the conviction that his sons may attain reconciliation, a viewpoint that advocates for a more personal relationship, focused approach to resolving family disputes. This viewpoint perceives the monarchy primarily as a family construct, and secondly as an institution. The ties among relatives are considered vital, with institutional acts assessed through the prism of kinship and the pursuit of restored peace. In fact, this means being willing to put up with pain, work out problems on your own, and make informal compromises to keep family ties strong. According to palace sources, Prince William's viewpoint marks a significant departure from this family-centered strategy. He thinks of the crown as a corporation that has to keep being relevant and legitimate by constant public justification and careful brand maintenance. In this method, decisions are largely judged by how they affect public opinion and the strength of institutions, not by how they make people feel. Strategy comes before emotion. This business example, whether it's physical or rhetorical, shows how important it is to be disciplined, keep talking to each other, and be ready to make tough choices that can be hard for you personally, but are necessary for the crown's long-term survival. The difference in philosophical views has real effects on how problems are looked at and dealt with. King Charles may have been inclined to pursue compromises or preserve avenues for personal reconciliation, while Prince William is said to favor decisive actions to address perceived liabilities. The Prince of Wales is said to believe that the group can't keep members who constantly get bad press or who appear to utilize their royal ties for their own advantage. William has greater authority over everyday decisions now that the king is focusing on medical care. This helps him carry out his plan for a streamlined, reputation-aware monarchy. This changing balance of power means that appeals based on family compassion and personal experience may not be as important in deciding Prince Harry's future stance as they used to be when his father's conciliatory instincts were more powerful. People who are familiar with the ceremonial aspects of the monarchy say that these changes in authority go beyond only public obligations. They include setting rules for the organization, appointing appointments, giving and keeping patronages, and choosing crown representatives in other countries. Several royal insiders believe that the next generation wants to change the monarchy to make it more in line with contemporary norms of honesty, privacy, and civic obligation. The initiative deals with both optics and cultural alignment, as well as making sure that people are doing their jobs well. In today's world of television, when every mistake is blown up and documented online, the debate about who should be publicly tied to the monarch has started to rival, if not exceed, issues like bloodline and seniority. The Prince Andrew incident, a key event in risk assessment. In 2023, a big event occurred that experts think solidified Prince William's status. He was publicly connected to his uncle Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, at an official event. His relationship to the late Jeffrey Epstein, a convicted sex offender, and the civil lawsuit brought by Virginia Giuffre, which accused him of sexual assault, hurt the Duke of York's image. Even though Prince Andrew kept saying he didn't do anything wrong, the episode hurt his public image a lot. The late Queen Elizabeth II stopped him from doing official duties and took away his military and royal patronages. Prince Andrew's attendance with the future monarch in an official setting aroused quick and strong public disapproval. Critics in the media and the public questioned whether it was appropriate to have someone who was closely linked to controversy at a major royal event. People stated that this conduct made the monarchy seem like it didn't care about what people thought and didn't want to hold its own members accountable. The opponents contended that the appearance made it harder to show the monarchy as a modern ethical institution that is accountable to the people. People who know the Prince of Wales say he found this event quite upsetting. People say he thought the connection was bad for his bigger plans to bring the organization up to date and make it more in line with contemporary standards of honesty and public accountability. He thought the experience was not only humiliating for him personally, but also a strategic failure that hurt the brand he was trying to maintain and promote his image of the crown as an institution whose moral integrity must be beyond dispute. The event prompted a more severe response. This is when William's view changed. He realized that the monarchy could no longer work under the instinctual protection of family members, no matter what the reputation consequences were. After that, he supposedly became more strict and adopted a zero-tolerance policy, meaning that any royal who was seen to be hurting the institution's image would be considered as a burden, no matter who they were related to or what they had done in the past. Prince Andrew was the most well-known case and the most important issue on an internal list of urgent issues. However, this principle was said to apply more broadly and to other members whose public engagements or affiliations were seen as harmful to the Crown's interests, such as the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. The Andrew incident made it clear to some how important it is to keep a modern constitutional monarchy. People expect a certain level of behavior from those closest to the sovereign, and not meeting these expectations hurts their reputation and their political capital. A prospective monarch seeking to navigate an institution via social and cultural transformation may see the acceptance of perceived hypocrisy or transgressions of norms by prominent family members as a strategic liability with lasting consequences. So for these insiders, the Andrew case became an interesting story that changed their ideas about duty and the limits of familial privilege in the royal household. Business ventures, public opinion, and the Sussexes' reputation. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's own businesses and public projects have become another cause of friction. As many people have pointed out, the Duchess of Sussex's well-known goal of starting a cosmetics and lifestyle company is a major bone of contention. Critics say this move doesn't fit with the arrangement that the couple made when they gave up their full-time royal duties in 2020. The late Queen Elizabeth II made it clear at the time that the senior working royals who had stepped down from their professions should not use their HRH, his or her Royal Highness titles in business, or to take advantage of their royal status. In the last several months, Meghan has posted a number of carefully chosen photos on social media, including pictures of beauty products with their branding hidden on purpose. This is a standard marketing tactic used to build excitement and anticipation before a product's release. Additionally, there have been allegations of interactions with well-known people in the fashion and cosmetics industries, such as Vogue editorial staff, which suggests a concerted effort to target the high-end market. Many famous individuals have turned their personal fame into successful consumer brands. Therefore, this method is not unusual in the celebrity industry. Entrepreneurs that began as performers or influencers and then branched out into cosmetics and lifestyle companies are examples of this technique that are still going on today. They have had a lot of business success, but sources say that royal analysts and palace officials perceive a big difference between the Sussex's circumstances and that of other royals. The Duchess is well known across the world, and her marriage to a member of the British royal family is definitely a part of it. The title Duchess of Sussex gives a lot of distinction and appeal, particularly in markets outside of the UK. People who care about the monarchy's institutional integrity are worried that utilizing a royal title or royal connections to sell things would make it harder to see the difference between public duty and private gain. Prince William believes that these kinds of actions would make the crown less valuable as a symbol and add to the story that personal fame is used to take advantage of institutional ties for personal gain. He thinks this is not in line with the image of a service-oriented, impartial monarchy. This worry is backed up by poll data and what most people think according to those who know about the topic. According to recent research that was reported in the news, 47% of people in the UK thought Meghan Markle hurt the monarchy's image more than Prince Andrew. Polls are always changing and may be affected by many things, but the result is important because it shows that the public is tired of and critical of the Sussexes to the point where some experts say it's as bad as, or worse than, what previous unpopular personalities have faced. For those who are looking at reputational risk, these kinds of insights may be quite important. They help make a whole judgment that puts public acceptability and the crown's image ahead of personal issues. The business dimension includes not just perception, but also real legal and regulatory issues. If marketing materials use trademarks, business registrations, or contractual claims that appear to take advantage of government office or official status, they may be looked into. Companies that work with famous persons frequently rely on the fact that these people are well known to help them follow advertising rules and laws that protect consumers. The Sussexes' situation shows that using a ducal title in business papers, or even making little references to royal life, might make it harder to negotiate contracts and make potential partners apprehensive of legal or reputational consequences. The costs and terms of a reconciliation, sources say that if Prince Harry really wants to make up with his family and save their titles and place in the royal hierarchy, it will need more than just verbal promises or private vows. People say that Prince William is practical. Thus, any reinstatement of status would rely on real verifiable actions rather than just words. The cost of reintegration would be quite high, and the Duke and Duchess would have to make sacrifices that would be hard for them to accept both publicly and personally. A likely requirement, according to people familiar with the discussions, would be a public repudiation of some of the most harmful things Prince Harry said in his book, Spare, and in high-profile interviews like the one he did with Oprah Winfrey on TV. These investigations and public statements provide comprehensive and critical pictures of Harry's boyhood, his family ties, and how life in the palace worked, stories that have been studied a lot and strongly disputed. To regain credibility, these kinds of stories need to be retracted, clarified, or put in a very different perspective. However, this would be quite embarrassing for someone who has, at least in part, built his post-royal persona on an honest description of his experiences. This would be a big change for someone whose public posture has made it clear that they are very committed to speaking his truth. A second likely requirement would be the discontinuance of business activities that openly or secretly take use of their prior status as senior royals. This would include books, documentary projects, paid speaking engagements, and other things that largely get value from the couple's close perspective of the royal family. If the institution thought that these projects were not consistent with royal duties being restored, they would have to renegotiate or maybe drop important deals with streaming platforms and audio services that gave them unique access and experiences. This requirement would have immediate financial effects. The Sussexes' income after leaving the royal family, as it is presently set up, relies heavily on how marketable their royal ties are, and taking that away would greatly reduce their potential to make money. The most sensitive part may be the Duchess's desire to run her own company. Any agreement for Meghan to return to the royal family may require a re-evaluation of her business plans or a promise that her businesses would not exploit royal titles or connections. That situation might make Prince Harry ask his wife to give up or change her job goals a lot. This request would put the couple's interests and relationship to the test by showing how personal freedom and institutional needs might clash. The choice would be simple. Accept the restrictions meant to protect the crown's image or keep the couple's independence that they wanted when they gave up their official duties. Analysts who knew what they were talking about said that the Sussexes gave up their top royal duties in order to take control of their story, their income, and their everyday choices. Accepting circumstances that limit their ability to have open conversations, do things that are lucrative for them based on their past jobs or work without the creative freedom they now have would mean that they are partially going back on their decision to quit. In these circumstances, reconciliation would seem to signify a surrender of autonomy rather than a restoration of equality. Even if Prince Harry agreed to the demands, it is said that the trust between the brothers has broken down so far that they may not be able to come back into the family without conditions. One possible way to make things right again would be to have a probationary period during which strict rules for conduct and communication would be followed. However, this would not automatically lead to a full and loving reunion of the family. It is vital to remember that these kinds of negotiated settlements would likely include legal and financial details. It is not easy to break contracts that include many nations like those with streaming services located in the U.S., without paying a fine or getting everyone to agree. The couple would have to find a way to balance their contractual obligations with what the crown wanted, which may take a long time and be hard. Both sides' negotiators need to think about the costs and benefits of enforcement mitigation and compromise. The public features of any agreement will also have an impact on both sides' decision-making process. What happens when you get rid of a title, real and symbolic results? If discussions don't work out and Prince William formally asks to take away the Sussex titles, Harry and Meghan will be affected in both real and symbolic ways, changing their legal status, security arrangements, and brand image. If the Duke and Duchess of Sussex lost their titles, it would mean more than just a change in name. It would also mean a change in how people see them and how they are connected to the monarchy. They would no longer be known as the Duke and Duchess of Sussex in a legal or ceremonial sense. Instead, they may be called by private names, such as Mr. and Mrs. Harry Windsor, or by lower peerage titles that Harry legitimately holds, like the Earl of Dumbarton. When King Charles became king, their children Archie and Lilibet, who were given the titles of Prince and Princess, would also lose their formal royal names. These losses would take away the most obvious and official signs of their place in the royal family, and they would also represent a split that breaks apart their most direct constitutional and dynastic identities. Security concerns, which are a big and ongoing part of the Sussexes' public conversation, would also be affected. The couple's current security plans, particularly when they are traveling, are a convoluted mix of private funding help from institutions and working with the police. The title of senior royal gives them certain rights and rules for exchanging information and working together on security that the public doesn't generally know about. The loss of formal royal titles may require a re-evaluation of how public authorities assess risk and allocate resources. Securities administrative frameworks may become more complicated, which could make some agencies less willing to give the same level of respect or operational cooperation that comes with being recognized as a royal. However, this doesn't mean that physical protection will stop right away when it is needed. The most immediate effect is expected to be on business. The Sussex brand is made up of a personal tale, a connection to the royal family and celebrity status. A large part of its value comes from the ducal titles and the respect they provide. These titles are a unique selling point in the global market. A lot of people are interested in the monarchy, which has made everything related to royal identity more marketable. Harry and Meghan would definitely lose some of their marketing advantage if they stopped acting like dukes. People may think of them as a famous celebrity couple instead of as famous ex-royals who know a lot about one of the most famous organizations in the world. The classification would have a direct impact on how possible and profitable present contracts and future talks are. Media companies, publishers, and other business partners invest money with the hope that the public would be interested enough to watch, read, and interact with their content. That market analysis is what contracts, whether they are now in place or might be in the future, are founded on. If the Sussexes' perceived marketability goes down because of a change in their official status, the financial agreements they made as a previous ducal couple may be changed. If partners think that the couple's marketability has gone down a lot because of a change in their formal status, it might affect a big production deal, a valuable book advance, or other contracts that make money. In short, titles are not only for show. In today's economy of attention, they are a kind of money. The symbolic part is also important. Titles are part of a larger system of signs that the monarchy uses to show power continuity and hierarchy to people in the UK and across the world. Stripping titles may be seen as both an exclusionary measure and a regulatory alteration. It signifies an official withdrawal of support and an institutional determination that some persons are no longer fit for their former roles. For many, the act of removal would be seen not only as an administrative formality, but as a proclamation of belonging and legitimacy, an erosion of the familial and constitutional ties that previously underpinned the couple's public identity. A monarchy at a critical juncture, public opinion, institutional values, and decisions that will last the British public continues to have strong opinions about the Sussexes and their choices, while these private talks go on. Some people feel sorry for Prince Harry's story because they understand how hard it was for him to lose his mother and how hard it was for him to lose his mother. They also think that his decision to go to California to protect his family and start a new life there is understandable, if not admirable. Some people think that the monarchy's response has often sounded like revenge and that they don't care about the psychological realities he has spoken about. On the other hand, some people think that Harry's actions were a self-imposed exile with planned consequences. From this point of view, his heritage contained responsibilities and traditions that he willingly gave up. Critics say that his subsequent search for fame and financial independence in the United States is not in line with the values of responsibility and prudence that come with being a royal. These critics thought that taking away his titles was a reasonable response to public actions that they thought hurt respect for the crown. Public opinion is important, especially in a constitutional monarchy that needs popular support to stay alive. However, the values that the future king and his close advisors choose to preserve may be the most important factor in shaping the institution. Insiders say that Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, is the best example of what Prince William thinks a working royal should be. People from all sides of the political spectrum respect her since she is always focused on her duties. She has a lot of engagements, doesn't like being in the limelight, and is known for being serious and reliable. The Prince of Wales thinks she is a great example of someone who is dedicated to public service. She is quiet, efficient, and doesn't act like a celebrity, which is what the Sussexes are known for. The present problem is all about the clash between two very different views on royal service. One is centered on family ties and making peace, while the other is based on strict professionalism and brand awareness. The decisions that are about to be made will not only influence the way things are done, they will also set ideological precedents that will affect the monarchy's institutional position for hundreds of years. Decisions on who will be significant members of the service compact, what former royals may do, and how the crown will deal with reputational risk will all work together to create a new constitutional culture for the House of Windsor. The monarchy is part of a larger system that includes other governments, the media, and people from other countries that work with them. Elected officials may be aware of what the public wants, but they are not allowed to do anything about it. When royal visits are hosted by foreign countries or organizations, they will follow the rules and etiquette set by the government. Changes to the organization of the working royal family will have diplomatic consequences affecting the order of ceremonies, the division of official assets, and Britain's representation across the globe. The effects go beyond family dynamics and media attention to encompass statecraft and soft power. The things that happen in the palace's hidden rooms will have a big effect on the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, as the consequences of these talks might change how the world sees them forever. If they keep their titles, the couple's public statements and engagements will likely be subject to strict new rules. If Harry and Meghan lost their titles, they would have to figure out how to promote themselves in a crowded global market without the unique benefit of being official royals. Both alternatives involve substantial trade-offs, personal, financial, and symbolic, and either would communicate a strong message about the monarchy's future objectives. Conclusion. An organization at a pivotal point. Prince Harry's arrival in London at this critical juncture implies more than a family dispute. It represents a broader institutional assessment of the future of the British monarchy in the 21st century. The main disagreements are over what service really means, how to handle reputational risk, and how to balance loyalty to family with duties to a historic public institution. King Charles's decision to step back from a full public agenda due to health issues has sped up the transfer of power to Prince William. His administrative skills and cautious personality have brought up the topic of who may join the inner circle of active royals. The public crisis involving Prince Andrew the Sussex's economic ventures and the intense media scrutiny of their choices have all set a standard for accountability and institutional self-preservation. If reconciliation were possible, it would likely include admissions of wrongdoing, a substantial diminishment of personal economic ambitions, and a persistent demonstration of alignment with the Crown's institutional goals. If titles were taken away, the pair would have to quickly change their public selves to fit into a market that had changed a lot. This would have serious legal security and financial effects. Public opinion will still matter, but the most important factor may be the principled vision of the next king and his advisors. For example, would the next monarchy put greater emphasis on loyal, humble service, or allow more celebrity-oriented roles? Prince Harry's planned engagements in London will involve not just personal links, but also discussions on the sort of monarchy that Britain wishes to keep and show off to the rest of the world. The stakes are high, and the decisions taken in the next few days and weeks are likely to have an impact on the institution for a long time. The royal family is at a critical point right now. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex's tie to the crown is in doubt, and how this issue is resolved will have a big impact on the House of Windsor's values and character in the near future. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and share it.